After much ado, we finally have the Kansas City Chiefs schedule in front of us, and we're going to break it down right here on the Red, Gold, and Bold. Jeff Chadiha, Sam McDowell, Soren Petro with you. As always, taking a look at that Kansas City Chiefs schedule. Does opening on Monday and Sunday night at home give more confidence that Patrick Mahomes is going to be ready to start the year? What are the primetime games mean? Lots of them, again, for the Chiefs, despite their 6-11 record. What's the toughest stretch? What's the easiest stretch? Do the Chiefs get these teams in the first half, the second half at the right time? Would you rather see some of the early teams late, some of the later teams early? We're talking about that. The bye week on week 5, what does that mean for the Chiefs? We'll do it right here, right now on the Red, Gold, and Bold.
You are listening to the Red, Gold, and Bold podcast, the most in-depth analysis of the Kansas City Chiefs on planet Earth, breaking down the Chiefs like no one else can. Red, Gold, and Bold is hosted by Jeff Chadiha, Sam McDowell, and Soren Petro. Jeff Chadiha is a senior columnist and on-air personality for the NFL Network and NFL.com. Sam McDowell is a columnist for the Kansas City Star. Soren Petro is the afternoon drive host of the program on Sports Radio 810 WHB in Kansas City. The Red, Gold, and Bold podcast is proudly brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete, Kansas City's nationally recognized full-service paving and pavement maintenance contractor, making parking lot problems disappear in Kansas City since 1994. Free consultations, no commissions, in-house crews, and every project comes with a written warranty. Find them online at GannAsphalt.com or call 816-484-3338. Gann Asphalt and Concrete, one contractor, all things parking lot. Now, here are the hosts of the Best Chiefs podcast, Jeff Chadiha, Sam McDowell, and Soren Petro.
Thank you very much, Curtis. We do appreciate it. Gentlemen, we have the schedule. It is in our hands. Drip, 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 drip for a few days. And then finally, here it is, the big announcement. And just overall, any reaction, whether it's Chiefs or NFL in general, Jeff, did anything jump at you about the schedule, about the process, about the reaction? All things schedule. What do you think?
Well, if you're the Chiefs, bad year to have a third-place schedule. Because this is what you get.
Yeah.
when you don't finish first, man, imagine what it's like for the Broncos and some of the other teams out here in the AFC, because this is a tough schedule for a team that is trying to rebound from a 6-11 record last year with a quarterback coming off an ACL tear. We knew what the opponents were going to be, but the way this sets up, it's going to be a rough road.
Yeah. What jumped at you, Sam? Anything really pop?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Jeff. I mean, at the end of last season, I think we were talking about that once the opponents were known that, the Falcons taking third place, they might wind up being the best team in that division. I think any of those 4 teams in the AFC South might think they're the best team in that division. But every team can look at their schedule and find complexities to it. They can find tough stretches to it. They can find easier stretches to it. But with this schedule, it's much easier to pick at the hard parts of it than it is the easier parts of it.
I've seen some people kind of pointing that this was a schedule that was fashioned to help the Chiefs get back on their feet. That's been, I think, Warren Sharp, I think, was one of them that was trying to say, well, you get these 2, but they're at home, and then you get 2 more easy opponents, and then you get a bye week. Whatever the timeline is on Patrick Mahomes, this schedule is set up to help the Kansas City Chiefs. What do you make of opening on Monday night with the Broncos, Sunday night with the Colts, at least those 2 games, and what it might mean for what they view on Patrick Mahomes' rehab and what they've done for the Chiefs?
Well, look, we talked about this in our last podcast in terms of just that Denver game is a really big challenge with their pass rush, their success rate against the Chiefs over the last few years as far as causing problems for Mahomes. So for the people who think Mahomes is going to walk out here after an ACL tear and just be the same person he was throughout the whole course of his career, let's pump the brakes on that. Even if I'm assuming he's going to be playing, but if he's out there, he's probably not going to be the player we're used to seeing. There's a lot of ways that he plays that don't jive with coming off a torn ACL, and so that's going to be hard. And then you're talking about the Colts, which is a team that was playing pretty good football until their quarterback went down late in the season, and they're going to be trying to prove something to themselves. And so, yeah, I think that I don't see the kiss from the league here. I feel like this is I think the Chiefs are going to be primetime viewing because, one, they've got a great quarterback and a Hall of Fame tight end, but two, they've got a great storyline. Either they're going to have a renaissance or they're going to go down the tubes, and that always makes for great viewing.
Yeah. Okay. What do you think, Sam? What do you make of getting those two games right out of the gates and on prime time?
Yeah, I don't think it's this notification that Patrick Mahomes is going to be 100% in week one that I think a lot of people have made it out to be. I mean, we've long known that the Chiefs are targeting week one, that Patrick Mahomes is targeting week one, that they're going to say he's ahead of schedule, that, in training camp, I think he'll be participatory in that, at least to some extent. But the most important boxes are still left to go. I mean, he's not thrown a competitive pass even in practice. Like, he's not played against a defense in practice. And so this assumption that, okay, the Chiefs are playing at home against Denver in week one, they're on prime time again in week two, Patrick Mahomes is for sure going to play. And it's like, there are so many checkpoints where this could still go wrong. I mean, that's the nature of this exact injury. And by the way, one of those checkpoints is mental. Like, once you actually are physically ready, you believing that you can do everything you used to do. I mean, we saw this in Kansas City with Juan Thornhill like 4 or 5 years ago, where he had injured his ACL his rookie year and really was never the same player since. And that's not the usual, but it is within the realm of possibility for all players who go through an ACL injury, because Juan Thornhill said, doctors kept telling me my knee was right, and it was just hard for me to believe it because of what I had experienced. And every player experiences that part of their rehab coming back from an injury. It's just, does practice get you over that? Or do you need games? Do you need to see yourself be the player you were before you believe it? And that's why I don't really understand the fact that just because they're playing on primetime the first two nights, that suddenly Patrick Mahomes is a full go and he's everything he was before the injury.
I would agree with it, but I think it is a statement. It is potentially a statement. Well, first of all, we've heard the NFL say, I mean, I've seen them on different broadcasts saying, we don't care. Like when the Chiefs are having to play on every single day of the week and people are like, it's unfair. Why are you doing this? I'm like, they're our meal ticket and we'll put them wherever we can get the ratings. And that's what the schedule's all about. So if that applies to, we don't care if we harm their chances of winning because we're going to get the ratings. And that was from one of the NFL guys that helps put the schedule together. If they would say that, would that mean that they would then prop up one of the ratings darlings, Jeff? I mean, is there, whether it's a full-blown conspiracy to put together the best 16 games to put the Chiefs back together, or just, hey, what's best for the league is to try to give us a chance to get the best ratings, and our reports are good that Patrick Mahomes is going to be back. Listen, all of us will sit here and say, let's do this real quick. Who thinks he's going to play week one? Let's the three of us.
No, we all.
Yeah, all of us.
So we all do. So the signs that we're reading are that we think he's going to be back. This may be as simple as they're reading those same signs. None of us have the medical reports. None of us have. Sam, I haven't. Jeff, I don't know if you or Sam, you've talked to Rick Burkhalter or talked to Patrick's trainer. I don't have any inside information, but right now it seems like all things are going in the right direction. If it's as simple as that, and you got to put together a schedule, why not? I think the other fallback, Jeff, I would ask you is, well, let me ask you that part first. If they admit to, we're not worried about harming their chances of winning, we're going to put together the best schedule, right, for what's best for the network, then it would seem like they would be doing what's best for the network even when, they would want to avoid a bad game too, right? Like if we take them at one, don't we have to take them at the other?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think what's important to remember here is there are 32 teams in this league, and there are other teams that are marquee teams. So the Cowboys, the Steelers, the Packers, all these teams that they look at, they want to get them into great situations for the TV viewing. I don't think there's anything about the schedule or anybody's schedule that is about trying to help one team do better than another or make sure they're getting some kind of traction or getting propped up. I think it's all about what's going to play on TV. And so for the Chiefs, the way I look at the schedule, I see a lot of interesting matchups, a lot of the way it's designed is to create drama towards the end of the season. And I think there's going to be some games in there that have, even the early games, like the Raiders game is going to be an interesting game with all the moves they've made defensively. I mean, the other assumption you can't make with schedules is that the teams you saw last year are going to be the teams you see this year. And so some of these gimme games are going to be harder. And some of these games we think are going to be really tough might be easier than we think. But I don't think it's anything about trying to help the Chiefs do anything.
Sam, I mean, it pretty much is, it's like the NCAA tournament. There's a history and there's matchups and there's rivalries. Just about any game before the season starts when everybody's got optimism, looks like it could be pretty good, right? And unless you get Cardinals-Titans, just about anything else, you could get a theory where, to Jeff's point, well, the Raiders do have a new quarterback. If he's the real deal, new coach, hey, maybe there could be something. Do they all? Can you build a conspiracy like every year when, oh, look, Duke and Kansas are going to meet in the Sweet 16. They did that on purpose, that we hear when it comes to the NCAA tournament?
Yeah, I just, when I look at the schedule, because I did see, I guess to a certain extent, I wasn't super active on Twitter last night after the schedule. But, I did have some buddies texting me some stuff and some reactions to it. And I mean, there was like this reaction out of Denver that Denver got screwed because their first, I saw this was like from a very reputable local reporter in Denver, that if you count the Chiefs as a playoff team last year, Denver's like the first team to open with 6 playoff teams from the year before. It's like they're not a playoff team.
Yeah.
From the year before. They went 6-11 last year. In what world are the Chiefs a playoff team last year? They're literally not a playoff team. And so the reason I bring that up is because I think in every market you could find a way to say your team got screwed, and that generally is the reaction from schedule releases, is finding the ways that your team got screwed. Like I said at the top, I think you can find more ways that this is a difficult schedule than you can to say this is an easy schedule, which is why that's a question later on a rundown list, is because I think there's more options.
Yeah, I think so as well. Listen, I'll also point out there are 4 standalone games plus 2, the whatever the national game is at 12 and 3. But on that first weekend, there's a Wednesday, a Thursday, a Sunday night, and a Monday night. So 8 teams, 25% of the league were going into a primetime slot, right? So the Chiefs had to be put somewhere. So part of this is just a lack of numbers when it comes to other options that are out there. All right, we do want to get into those primetime games. What 6 primetime games with 2 weeks that haven't assigned primetime games still looming out there. What does that all mean for the Chiefs? We'll do it after you hear from our friends at Gann Asphalt and Concrete. Concrete season is in full swing and asphalt paving is revving up. So right now is the time to get your property on the schedule with Gann Asphalt and Concrete. Whether you need new concrete work, a parking lot repaved, crack filling, seal coating, or full asphalt installation, their experienced crews handle it all right here in Kansas City. Don't wait until the rush hits. Call today for a free bid and secure your spot before the calendar fills up. Get the process started right now at GannAsphalt.com. That's GannAsphalt.com. Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lots. Italian Delight was the first restaurant to bring true New York-style pizza to Kansas City almost 50 years ago. They sell whole pies or pizza by the slice, or enjoy their classic strombolis, calzones, and sausage rolls. Sandwich lovers, check out their lineup of hot and cold subs, the combo, the meatball, or the Philly cheesesteak, just to name a few. And don't forget the pasta. Their famous lasagna and classic chicken Alfredo always hit the spot. And if you're hungry for lunch, check out their daily lunch specials, starting at under $10. Italian Delight can even cater your next work function or party. Dine in, carry out, or delivery, it's Italian Delight. Located just 3 minutes east of Kansas Speedway at 8145 State Ave in KCK. Check out the menu and order online at ItalianDelightKS.com. Kansas City's own Italian Delight. All right, how about those primetime games, Jeff? What do we think of what they've got? Denver on Monday Night Football, Indianapolis on Sunday Night Football. That's week 1 and 2. Then week 7, they go to Seattle on a Sunday night game. Thanksgiving night. They're at Buffalo on a Thursday. They follow up the following Thursday on Thursday Night Football at the Rams, and then New England on Monday night at Arrowhead, Monday Night Football, week 15 with New England. Weeks 1, 2, 7, 12, 13, and 15, all national games. What do we think of what they've got for the national games?
I think it's a great schedule. I think it's a great look. I mean, I think Sam mentioned this before in terms of how valuable the Chiefs are in terms of primetime national interest. And you see that. And now I think it's a tough slate. I got to call it up here again because I just lost it on my screen. I look at it and I see obviously the games we've mentioned before, but that Bills game on Thanksgiving, that Niners game, that Rams game, they're all going to be hard. But what I love about this league and about this look for the Chiefs is that it should be hard because they've been a dynasty. They're trying to rebuild something, and we're going to find out how good they are this season.
Yeah. How about you? What do you think of the national lineup, Sam?
Yeah, I mean, I think I mentioned this on Tuesday that we would learn that the brand has not taken a hit just because the Chiefs went 6-11 a year ago. I might not have been guessing on that. I mean, the Rams have 7 primetime games. The Chiefs they're the only team with 7. The Chiefs are among a group of, I think, like 5 or 6 teams that have 6. I mean, to me, the only surprise based on some things I was hearing ahead of time was that they're not playing on Christmas. I expected them to be playing on Thanksgiving or Thanksgiving Eve. I didn't even know Thanksgiving Eve was a term, but the NFL is just, I guess, calling this Thanksgiving Eve the Wednesday before. And then I thought they'd be playing on Christmas or Christmas Eve. So I'm surprised that they're not in that mix. But overall, it's still very evident that the NFL still views the Chiefs as its cash cow, at least one of its, 3 or 4 cash cows. And that brand is Patrick Mahomes. That brand is Travis Kelce. That brand is their past accomplishments every bit as much as their future projections.
And then that part of that, Jeff, is that, I talk about the Warriors being on TV all the time in the NBA. Did the execs get it right? Are they measuring who the right teams are? Are the Chiefs, do they justify being this? Because the brand is great, but if they're 6-11 again, and not one where it's like, if they would come out and drop the first couple and then they're 1-2, 1-3, 2-3, 2-4, those late ones look rough, right? Like, so is this I think Sam's right. I think the brand is still there, but is the backbone to back it up there that they should be expected to be, that they're going to be a good match on the road at Seattle. They're going to be a good match at Buffalo. I mean, is that realistic to be putting them in these positions to think you're going to get competitive games and hold the ratings for 3 hours?
Oh, there'll be competitive games. I mean, that I don't question. There were competitive games last year. They were just losing them, right? So that's not really in question. But I think about, look, the Dallas Cowboys have not played in a Super Bowl or an NFC Championship game in a long time, and they still they're the first game on Sunday Night Football this year, right? And so against the Giants. And so they're always marquee value. The Pittsburgh Steelers have been a middling team for the last 6-7 years since Ben Roethlisberger left. They still get a lot of love, a lot of attention. And so the Chiefs have earned this right. They've earned the right to see if they can maintain that and sustain that level of notoriety and Q rating. And so even the Patriots, when Tom Brady left, they were still interesting because Bill Belichick was there. And when they had Cam Newton, it was interesting. And so I do believe that they've earned this right, and they should value it. Now, if it's another 6-11 season, 7-10, might be a different conversation. But for right now, 1 year away from being in the Super Bowl, they should be in this position.
Yeah.
Just real quick, I don't think it's about the record when I look at the fact of, like, should they be on prime time 7 times? I mean, first of all, like I said, their brand is the players. It's Travis Kelce, it's Patrick Mahomes, and really it's Andy Reid too. I mean, it's the history of the success. But when I think about the entertainment factor of this particular team, because that's what you look for when you think about the primetime games, the Chiefs have been mediocre to less than mediocre a year ago offensively for 3 straight years. 15th in points, like, what was it, 23rd in points last year, which, as an aside, for whatever reason, Pro Football Reference is not putting the little.
I know. You have to click on, if you click on you have to click on the season and then scroll down to get there.
Yes, it's maddening that they haven't updated that. But the other side of that is their defense has been top 10 in points all 3 years. Like, there are not as many points in Chiefs games as there are in other NFL games. There are not as many plays in Chiefs games. There's not as many drives in Chiefs games. There's not as many explosive plays. They don't allow a ton of explosives. They definitely don't get a ton of explosive offensively. So I think the entertainment factor of the football itself has waned the past few years compared to when the Chiefs first emerged as this dynasty team.
I think that's a great point. I will add one layer to it. Travis Kelce's back, and that means so is Taylor Swift as a possible.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
And that, if anybody thinks that does not matter, it does. The NFL is well aware of people who were not watching NFL football that are now watching, and that social media quickly. And in fact, I'm sure that they've directed their television partners. If she's there, get a shot early because it hits social media and everybody's, talking about it. And so all the Swifties come to see when they put the camera on Taylor Swift. And there's only so much longer you're going to be able to get that. I mean, there might be a time Travis Kelce might be a part of the Chiefs Ambassadors Club and show up, and you might be able to find her at a random Chiefs game when he's not playing. I kind of doubt it, but you got to strike while the iron is hot. The iron is hot with Taylor Swift right now. I don't know how many games she's going to see after he's done playing. So
I actually thought about that for the end of the season because obviously those last two games have this TBD attached to them. Although one of them I think week 17 is a Saturday game, right? But week 18 at home against the Raiders. Let's say the Chiefs have a year like they did last year. It's not what I'll predict, but let's say they have a year like they did last year. I think because of the perception that this is Travis Kelce's last year, the likelihood that this is Travis Kelce's last year, I wondered if the Chiefs could even still get one of the standalone games in the last game of the season for that, just because of the impact of that potential.
Yeah, I think it's a great point. And just to be clear, unless you've got some information, they play on Friday, December 25th. Right? Or I'm looking at last year's scheme. Am I looking at last year's?
They play on January 2nd, right? Which is, I think, a Saturday against the Chargers.
Yeah, January 3rd.
Yeah.
2nd, right?
So I got 3rd, but maybe it's the 2nd. I don't know. That's what.
I've got. I'm going to switch to a different one because I think this one's.
Yeah, the NFL official, like the GSIS that's available to media, has that game on January 2nd, TBD.
The Chargers. That may be the plan. The Chiefs schedule just says TBD with no date
on both of them.
On the Chiefs,
I think mine off ESPN, so I'd go with the NFL. Yeah.
So Chargers.
So maybe they're still finagling, then that could be 2nd or 3rd. We know that last week, although they've got it listed as the 10th on a Sunday, we know that last week is always susceptible to change to Saturday. And there are more Saturday games. I mean, I think when you ask for big takeaways, the NFL wide, there's just more standalone games in general, and that's not going to change. And I think 3 people who grew up watching NFL Sundays, I do think it subtracts something from just the fact that everybody's playing on Sunday, it felt like, and there was a reward for playing Monday night. And but that's just the reality of it. It's not going away, the fact that there's going to be 10 teams in some weeks that are playing these standalone games.
I think you may be seeing plan A right now for what the standalones would be. Maybe somebody screwed up and put plan A out when it was supposed to be a TBD. The Chiefs site says TBD, same way it's got with the last week. Where's the toughest stretch of games for you, Jeff? Where do you think?
That's easy. Let's see. What is that? Weeks 12 through 16? I think we're all going to be in agreement on that one. We're talking about the Bills on Thanksgiving, the Rams on Thursday Night Football, the Bengals, all 3 road games, and then you come back and you got a primetime Monday night game with the Patriots, and you got the 49ers. I mean, I guess in Denver, that's considered 5 playoff teams, right? But
yeah,
but it's definitely 4 from my count. And so that's I don't think I've ever seen a stretch that tough in the Mahomes era. And maybe I have to go back and look at some of their schedules, but I just know the Bills and the Rams and what they've meant to the NFL the last couple of years. And then the Bengals, a team that's always been a thorn in the Chiefs' side, I did not see last year. That's rough. That to me is really hard. And so, and you're talking about, and people have mentioned this in the comment section, just that bye week being in week 5 is going to have a huge impact on Travis Kelce and Chris Jones, these older guys. And so that's where their season is going to be decided. And we're going to know if they are back to what we expect from them, or if they're going to be going back in the same direction as last year.
Yeah. Where do you see the toughest part, Sam?
Yeah, I think you could pick out a few things. I mean, look, you can't argue against Jeff's selection. And so for the sake of adding something different, I'm going to point out from weeks 3 through 14, a 12-week stretch, they play at Arrowhead Stadium 3 times in 12 weeks. Like, I haven't seen that in the NFL. And I attempted on Stat, had to look it up last night. I couldn't find an exact way to look it up. But given the fact that every team used to just play 8-8, I'd be surprised if some teams' 8 road games were mixed into just an 11-game stretch. And so, I mean, to only play 3 home games and 11 out of 11, and then a 12-week stretch, I think this early season is going to matter more than it did a year ago because of the way last year went. I think it's going to team that's going to need to build some momentum, to build some confidence again, to rebuild itself. And because of that, I think you could argue that the early season's every bit as important as what we typically look at the Chiefs and say, who do they end with? How's this going to finish? What's going to have the effect on playoff seeding? This is a team that first needs to get to the playoffs again.
And so you said there are a couple other spots. Where would you point to the couple other spots?
Well, that's what I said. I usually when for full disclosure to our listeners, like when I added this question to our thing, and look, we have this question every year. Usually we're picking like 3 or 4 game stretches. And I looked at it and said exactly that was in 12 weeks, they played Arrowhead three times. And so I would just say that in general. And I think when you go back to back and you just look at back-to-back games, I mean, going to Seattle on Sunday night and then turn around and playing at Denver the next week is a tough stretch. And like I said, it's for variety's sake, because you can't argue against that stretch that Jeff mentioned. I think that's what most people are going to point toward.
Yeah, at Buffalo, at Rams, at Bengals, and Buffalo on a short week. I mean, that's a bitch. I mean, there's no way around it. Now, the Bengals, if Joe Burrow's hurt, maybe that changes the dynamics. Matt Stafford's 38 years old. I mean, but if everybody's at full strength, that run right there, I'm not as sold on the Pats. I think there could be a big regression there from the distraction that's going on with Vrabel to Drake May being somewhat maybe exposed a little bit more as he went through playoff teams late. They were winning, but he wasn't playing great, and maybe that formula is there. San Francisco also played an easy schedule, and they seem to be hot, cold. So maybe that part, the follow-up 15 and 16 at home will be easier than we think. I don't know. What's the easy stretch then, Jeff?
Well, just Surrender, to put a data point on what you just said, it's 6 teams, right? I mean, when you look at it, it's the Bills, Rams, Bengals, Patriots, 49ers, Chargers, 6 straight games. All 6 of those teams are Vegas over-unders at least 9.5. Like, I wonder if another team has, maybe that Broncos playing 17 straight playoff teams have a stretch in there at some point, but it seems like
and the coaching too, right? I mean, you're talking about some of the best coaches in the league you're going to see there.
Yeah. But listen, I think the 49ers are a declining entity. Like you just mentioned the 9.5. I'll take the under on New England. I'll take the under on San Francisco right now. I mean, like anybody else hardcore over on both those teams?
On the Niners?
On the Niners and Patriots.
Niners will be over. I mean, they won 11 games with 18, 20 players getting hurt.
They had a lot of injuries last year. I haven't seen the schedules. I mean, first of all, Strin's right. The Niners played the easiest schedule in the NFC last year, and the Patriots played by far the easiest schedule in the entire NFL a year ago. And I think those over-unders, like you've got to dig into the schedule. You've got to dig into.
You definitely have to dig into the schedule. But I can tell you the one thing you can look at is like when you get a Super Bowl AFC team that won. How many games they win last year? 13.
13. Yeah.
And that number's 9.5. Where are the Chiefs coming off a Super Bowl when they win 13? They're 10.5 minimum.
Well,
11.5. This is down at 9.5. This is a statement that.
Well, the Chiefs are at 10.5. I mean, just look at those two teams. The Chiefs won 7 fewer games than the Patriots did last year. Brought their quarterbacks back, brought their head coaches back, and they're at 10.5, and the Patriots are at 9.5.
Yeah, I mean, that's a statement. I think it's a statement for the 49ers as well. The 49ers also this year will travel 38,000 miles.
By the way, the 49ers are at 10.5.
Oh, they are at 10.5?
All 6 of those teams are at least 9.5. The 49ers.
What is New England at? Okay, I thought you were saying they were.
New England's at 9.5.
Okay, so New England's a big team. 49ers may be a little bit risky, but I'll definitely take the under on 10.5. I'll take both those. The worst case scenario, I split. Worst case scenario, I split. And I might even lay 2-1 on that. That I get at least a split out of that. I feel real comfortable. And years of looking at these win totals and what they can tell you from where they're coming up. Where is the easiest stretch, Jeff?
Oh, weeks 9 through 11. Jets, Falcons, Cardinals. Two teams with those last two teams have new head coaches. Quarterback questions for all three. The Jets have been a mess forever. And so I don't feel like if they lose any of those games, it's going to be surprising. But I would also say, going back to last year, that those games feel like the Giants and Jaguars type games, right? Where it's just like they should cruise through them, and all of a sudden one game is a loss, the other one is a battle at halftime. And so, but I think you have to be 3-0 during that stretch if you want to be able to make a run at the playoffs.
What do you got for the easiest stretch, Sam?
Yeah, same three. I mean, Jets at Falcons, at home against Cardinals. I guess I'll leave my second option open because it might be what you picked, Soren. But I mean, when it comes to, I was going to say, when it comes down to it, like what cost the Chiefs last year, I think, was an inability to just get back-to-back wins. They had back-to-back wins twice all year last year. Like there was just nothing on the schedule that just offered them a deep breath and a reset after like week 7 last year. And so I think this stretch comes a little bit later than when they got some early season momentum a year ago, but there's nothing on the back end that offers them that.
I'm not sold on the Colts. I think they'll be the team you have to beat. You can't just throw your helmet out there.
This is why I didn't offer my secondary option, because I thought this is where you're going.
Which was Colts at Dolphins at Raiders, right?
And then a bye week, yeah.
Yeah, that's the second one and then you could throw in the fact that you then get to come out of the bye week and be at home and get a divisional opponent. The Chargers game will be really tough, as we know, but it is at least a good spot.
Jeff, you got some echo on your end?
Not on my end. I think that's Jeff bringing up a second audio stream.
Yeah,
that's there.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, it's all right. But listen,
new computer for Jeff, guys.
Yeah, we should point out if you're joining us via the stream, Jeff has been messing with his settings. New computer, who dis is going on right now with Jeff. But yeah, I do think Indy, if they play down, and I think they could. Indy at Miami at Vegas. Obviously, at Miami at Vegas bye week is a nice little stretch for them. I don't think Vegas is ready to run with the big dogs yet, and Miami's on a team on decline big time. So yeah, that's your stretch. I mean, that's it. There's two stretches where they got a chance to get things rolling, and they better take advantage of it. I mean, I got to be honest with you. I mean, they have to be at least 5-1 in those games, don't they? If they're the team winning the division.
Yeah. Because we're not even counting injuries and things like that start to pop up that are going to affect the season. So yeah, when they can win games, they have to win games, and that goes back to starting 0-2 last year. That was the biggest challenge after that 0-2 start was they were always chasing wins. Yeah. And trying to get back to a place they could never get back to.
Yeah, for sure. All right, we want to get into when they play these teams. Is there a spot that they benefit or are hurt from, getting somebody early, getting somebody late? We'll talk about that. The week 5 bye week, what does that mean? We'll do it after you hear from our friends at Italian Delight. Italian Delight was the first restaurant to bring true New York-style pizza to Kansas City almost 50 years ago. They sell whole pies or pizza by the slice, or enjoy their classic strombolis, calzones, and sausage rolls. Sandwich lovers, check out their lineup of hot and cold subs, the combo, the meatball, or the Philly cheesesteak, just to name a few. And don't forget the pasta. Their famous lasagna and classic chicken Alfredo always hit the spot. And if you're hungry for lunch, check out their daily lunch specials, starting at under $10. Italian Delight can even cater your next work function or party. Dine in, carry out, or delivery, it's Italian Delight. Located just 3 minutes east of Kansas Speedway at 8145 State Ave in KCK. Check out the menu and order online at ItalianDelightKS.com. Kansas City's own Italian Delight. Gann Asphalt and Concrete is looking to grow their team. If you have heavy construction foreman experience with heavy equipment, asphalt or concrete labor, or just want to learn a new trade, contact Gann Asphalt and Concrete to join their team today. Top of the market pay, company provided insurance, and paid time off and holiday pay are just a few of the great reasons to join Gann's expanding team. Learn more about this great opportunity with Gann at GannAsphalt.com/careers. That's GannAsphalt.com/careers. Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lots. Throw a little love to our friends at GAN. Had lunch with some of their folks. Great people as well. Great Kansas City business. One contractor, all things parking lot, GAN asphalt and concrete. Can't stress. I will tell you that they said they are getting busy. So if you've got work that you need done right now, make sure you get on the schedule. Go to GANasphalt.com today. Who do they get at the right time, the wrong time? Sam, you got a spot on here where you look at something and go, boy, I'm glad they're, if I'm Andy Reid, I'm glad they're, this is when we get this team, or boy, this is a bad time to catch that team.
Yeah, this is actually the one spot where I think the schedule does bend their way. I mean, they do play the Raiders in Week 18, but usually your division games are all backloaded, and I think getting the Raiders in Week 4 is good because they've got a rookie quarterback. You'd always rather play those early. Getting the Colts in Week 2.
So you've already said Mendoza beats out Cousins.
Well, even if he doesn't, I mean, then you're getting Kirk Cousins, and so I think either way, like that bends in your favor. You're getting the Colts in Week 2 with Daniel Jones coming off an Achilles, and look, they think he's going to be back, but still, he tore his Achilles late in the season. It's still amazing to me that he's going to be back for Week 1. And then the third one I would say where this bends in their favor is playing Cincinnati late in the season because Joe Burrow has a long injury history to where he's missed late season games in 3 of his 6 seasons. And so I think, like I said, they might not stack up in the order that you'd like them to stack up because you don't get that, like I said, deep breath late in the season to relax against the Jets or the Cardinals late in the season. I don't think you want those teams stacked together. But I do think when they play teams can fall in their favor potentially.
You got anything that you think bodes well, getting somebody early or late, Jeff?
Look, I think the teams that I like a lot on this schedule, believe it or not, I mentioned the Niners in the last segment. I think seeing them where you see them it bodes well because they usually have injuries.
Yeah, you got the electrical grid over there. They'll have 15 injuries by then.
Exactly. That substation effect is going to be real. But I think seeing the Bengals at that point is also good. I think that you never know Joe Burrow's health. And look, maybe I'm going to take the devil's advocate with the Broncos early here, just to say that there may be a benefit in knowing what you have with Mahomes and this offense, and getting that game out of the way. So, but man, it's tough. It's tough. I think I'll go back to the bye week too. I think the Chargers after the bye week getting a divisional game at that point is going to be helpful. So if you piece it together, there's segments in there where you can see them making hay, but there aren't a ton of them.
I won't argue any of the points you made. I'll add in a couple more. I think where you get Seattle sucks because if there's a hangover, they're through it and the fire is lit, or they keep rolling and they're making things happen and you haven't had a chance to accumulate a lot of injuries. So I wouldn't mind Seattle being later in the equation to potentially be a banged up football team. You run the risk of you being banged up, but we're just talking about the opponents and what they could bring in. So I wouldn't mind Seattle being a little bit later. I do think Denver early is a nice spot. And it's either a blessing or a curse because first games, there's always first game mistakes, and who's going to make more of them a lot of times is the one that determines. So the worst loss of Andy Reid's tenure and what kept him out of being in the playoffs every single year as the Kansas City Chiefs head coach, except for until this past year, was in 2014 when he lost week 1 to the Titans. The Titans team that won only one game. So I think if Denver's going to be good, this is a blessing to get them in week 1 because week 1 mistakes are there. So I kind of like the idea. I like trusting in your coaching staff that will be more prepared and get it done. So I think Denver in week 1 is a blessing. And I think Cincinnati being later, Joe Burrow gets hurt a lot. The later you go, the more likely it is. And they tend to be injuries that he's done for the year, right? So the longer you go, the more likely you are to get things, to get them without Joe Burrow. What about New England in 15? What do you think? I'm curious about this. Are the Patriots a mess early because of all the distractions and then find themselves because Mike Vrabel can coach football and they get things going, or do the Patriots circle the wagons against all the outside forces and they come out as a really focused football team trying to prove people wrong, and so it's better to get them late? That's one game that I'm curious. I think could be either or.
Yeah, I would say, look, I mean, the Diana Rossini effect has been real so far, and so I don't want to discount that, but I would imagine by that point in the season, it won't be as much of a factor. I think the one thing we're not considering with New England is we're all assuming that A.J. Brown is going to be playing for that team after June 1st, right? That trade is going to happen with the Eagles. And if it does, how does that change their offense? How does that make them more viable as a playoff contender moving forward? Because that's a huge impactful thing to have happen. I would never count out Mike Vrabel with a quarterback, and that's what led to his demise at the end of his time with Tennessee, that Ryan Tannehill got old and they never could make it work with anybody else, like Will Levis and Malik Willis. But I think they'll be competitive. But to your point, I think that they will have a lot more losses by that point. And who knows? It might be I think Buffalo is going to win that division, but they may be fighting for their playoff lives by then.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Jamie, you got any angle on what the Pats game means, early or late?
No, I mean, I don't see how. I mean, you mentioned the one possibility, and I know you didn't say that this is what you believe is going to happen, but just they rally around this and try and block out the outside noise. Like, I don't see that happen. I mean, you list the top people you don't want to be distracted by something. Like, shouldn't your head coach be number one on that list? Because that's the guy who needs to put in more hours than anyone. And he certainly is putting a lot of hours elsewhere right now. So, although it seems like he's put a lot of hours elsewhere for years.
Yeah, my baby's stood up before.
Well, I mean, I don't know that he wants to go home. Listen, I'm not, I don't know. I mean, we've never seen anything like this, so this will be a first
publicly. Yeah.
Yes. I mean, so I'm intrigued.
That's
I'm
right.
interested. I want to see
Patriots coaches and their ladies.
Who do the Patriots open with? Are they a standalone game?
Let me look.
Yeah, they have the NFL opener, of course. They've got the Super Bowl rematches opening the season.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. So okay. Well, we'll see.
That's the real question. Like, the Patriots podcast, the Chiefs podcast is asking, is this a sign that Mahomes is healthy? They're asking about the Vrabel effect and their primetime games.
At Seattle, Pittsburgh, at Jacks, at Buffalo. So they're going to send him out on the road 3 out of 4 weeks to let the signs and the fans make their presence known. Buffalo should be interesting.
4 playoff games too, right? 4 playoff games. Right?
Yeah. 4 for 4. 4 for 4.
I see a trend.
Look at that. Five, the Patriots, after they open in Seattle again, 5 straight just noon kickoffs, though. Like, their Patriots Steelers is noon, Patriots at Jacksonville is noon, Patriots at Bills is a noon game.
Really? Wow. Patriots at Bills game would be valuable.
But I will tell you, the AFC East is doing their part, though. When you look at their schedule and see Dolphins twice, Jets twice.
He's already talking himself out of this
9.5. I'm on the under. I'm on the under. I'll be there. I'm going to bet that they don't rally the wagons. I don't think that's the guy you want to, like, this guy creating this kind of drama for your team. I don't think that's, let's get behind him. I don't see that coming in this situation. What does the week 5 bye week mean, Jeff?
I think it means, as I said, it's going to be tough on the older bodies. I mean, because at the end of the day, they still rely heavily on Travis Kelce and Chris Jones to make this team go. And if those guys are banged up, beat up, tired by that point, by the second half of the season, it's going to be a long go here, because we don't talk about this a lot with this team, but they're relying on a lot of unknowns. A lot of people who haven't been here before, having to step into big roles. Kenneth Walker, can he be a full-time difference maker? Is Mansour Delane as good as we think he is? Can these young guys coming out the pass rush make a difference? And then we're talking about some of the guys who've been here who still have questions having to jump up, the Xavier Worthies and the Rashee Rices. And so I just feel like the one thing you could always count on is just your stars being able to deliver for you. And we saw Travis struggle with that last year at various points. And we saw Chris Jones obviously struggle with that. And so what are you asking of them, in December, in November, December, January? It's going to be a big question. I'm not sure they can answer it with that bye week being so early.
Week 5 bye means what, Sam?
Well, there's actually data that goes into this being a disadvantage, believing that this is a disadvantage. Like, teams coming off of a bye early in the season, like week 5, week 6, don't have in general, I'll start with this. Teams that come off of a bye are better than 500. Like, there is an advantage to having a week off, of course. But that advantage is less when it's like week 5 or 6. The winning percentage isn't what it is when you come off of a week 8, 9, or 10 bye. It's for the reasons that Jeff mentioned. Like, Jeff mentioned all the causes. Well, I'm talking about the effect of it. I do think there's one advantage that because it's a week 5 bye, everyone only wants to look at the disadvantage of the timing of it. The one advantage is something that Jeff mentioned earlier. You play the Chargers on the other side of it. And last year didn't work out. They played the Broncos on the other side of a bye, didn't play a great game in Denver. They lost that game in Denver. But historically, the larger sample size, as Andy Reid is incredible when he's the only guy who's getting the bye week and the other team is not. I think it hurt the Chiefs a year ago that the Broncos had played on Thursday night before their bye. And so they had that week and a half rather than playing from Sunday to Sunday. But I think there is a small advantage. That just, by the way, when you look at the Chargers and what they'll be playing they're playing the Chiefs in that game, the Chargers previous 3 games will have been at Buffalo, at Seattle, at home against Denver, and then at Kansas City, who is going to be coming off of a bye. And so that is the advantage of when they get the bye, is just the team on the other side of it is going to have gone through a grueling schedule, and it's a really important game.
Yeah, I think it sucks. I don't think there's any lipstick you can buy to put on this pick. I think they're an older team. They could have used it later. I think it's going to be really interesting to see how Andy Reid's not a guy that likes to, rest guys, as we know. I mean, it's and I think this is, a team that's trying to prove that it's back on top while also needing to try to massage, some guys' snap counts and a quarterback that's coming off a knee injury. He's the one guy it might help, and I know that's why everybody's decided, see, they did this for the Chiefs, so Patrick Mahomes.
Sorry to interrupt, Stern, because you're exactly right that people are saying that. It's like, right. How can you say that, okay, the first 2 games he's going to play in prime time, so therefore he's full ready to go, but yet he needs a bye in week 5? Doesn't make any
covering
sense.
Every base, Sam. They're covering every base. If he's ready to go, we're going to play him at home so he can get all his treatment, and he doesn't have to fly, and he's not in the air, and that's part of it. But if he's not ready to go, we get the bye week early, so at least by week 6 he'll definitely be ready to go, so they can go 2-2 with Justin Fields. Come on, you got to look at the big picture, Sam. They've given them every possible scenario to be at their best. They're a playoff team, as we know, as Denver has pointed out.
Denver says, yeah.
Who said that? Who said that? Because I'm trying to get him on my show, get him on the radio show. Or we should bring him on here and be like,
it's the guy that writes for Denver. Like there's those new sites that take out the vowels of the city name.
Yeah, okay.
But I mean, he's good at his job. I mean, look, we all have said dumb stuff. That is just like, I can't really comprehend how the data on that one. I will point out 2 years ago, the Chiefs had a week 6 bye, and it was the year that they actually played their best football late in the season. And so, again, that's a 1-year blip, and I think it is an outlier compared to the trend. I totally agree with you guys. An older team that relies on older stars.
Or are you talking 3 years ago?
2 years ago, when they went 15-2, they had a week 6 bye, and they went really 15-1 because they didn't play their starters in that Denver game. But the offense only finally clicked. Remember, it was like that stretch where they played they played really good football against the Steelers on Christmas. They had played well against the Texans the week before offensively. And it was the year of the 1-score games.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll see. They got it. Week 5, whether they like it or not, that's where it's going to be. I think everybody like it right in the middle, but it's going to dance around.
There's one other disadvantage, which there's only 2 teams on a week 5 bye, and at least when the Chiefs are on a bye, we should be able to watch our beloved Eric Eager's Panthers.
Yeah,
but the Panthers are the other team. The Panthers are the second team on the week 5 bye.
So we don't get to watch the Chiefs East. Oh, that stinks. That is bad news. Hey, bad news if your parking lot is in disarray. I can tell you that. Gann Asphalt and Concrete has been solving parking lot problems for more than 30 years. As I mentioned, the schedule is filling up fast. So get on the schedule right now. Go to GannAsphalt.com. And if you're looking for a new trade, looking for a career, whether you have experience as a paving foreman or operator, they're looking to hire. You can learn more by going to GannAsphalt.com/careers. Find out more about working with one of Kansas City's best companies. And if you'd like lunch for under $10, Italian Delight's got you covered. They've got daily lunch specials starting at under $10. I'm not going to lie to you. I've told Renee that's too cheap. He should raise his prices, but for some reason he hasn't done it. He's too good a guy. Stromboli's Calzone Sausage Rolls, the first restaurant to bring true New York-style pizza to Kansas City almost 50 years ago. Hot and cold subs. I love their salads. Check it out. You can go to ItalianDelightKS.com to learn more, or just stop by there a few minutes east on State Ave, 8445 State Ave, just a few minutes east of the Speedway, I should say. For Jeff Chadiha, for Sam McDowell, I'm Soren Petro saying thank you very much for joining us here on the Red, Gold, and Bold.